Welcome to Screams and Streams, and the second part of our discussion of Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Let's get right back to that episode.
All right, we're going to go into our next category, what the fuck moment. TJ, you're going to kick us off with that.
My biggest what the fuck moment watching it the first time was when they finally show what Jack was writing, and all it says is all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Because in the book, he actually wrote stuff. Like he was writing about the hotel, the history of the hotel. So when they showed that, I was like, God, what the fuck? It's nothing like the book at all. This is fucking stupid. And then like the dude in the dog costume.
Bear.
The bear. Is it bear or dog?
I think it's a bear, but in this miniseries, it's a dog.
Oh.
Like it's a wolf. Like this guy jumps out in a wolf costume.
Yeah, like they flash to him and the guy in the tux, and I assume he's performing fellatio of some kind on the dude in the tux. But in the book, that character has this, like he's a ghost in the hotel.
Yeah.
But then they just flash to it, show that, and go back. It's like, well, that wasn't scary.
It was just weird.
No,
It's
it
weird.
was super weird. And Shelley Duvall, she's the one that sees it. She's running through the house, going through her mental breakdown there and seeing all this stuff. She turns that corner and that's there. That was, I'm just going to jump in. That was my what the fuck. I was like, I don't get this scene at all.
Yeah.
Like, what does this mean?
It served no purpose to the movie at all.
No.
They're just trying to keep people happy that read the book, maybe, to like throw them in there.
Yeah. Like
maybe.
there's a history of the hotel of depravity, but we haven't alluded to it at all up to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guys in the tux and they're just like,
Well,
hey.
now you're just like, oh, that's a furry. And they're having a good time.
Yeah, that's
whatever.
That was my what the fuck as well. I was going to talk about the artwork in Dick Halloran's bedroom.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I couldn't imagine bringing a woman home, be like, hey, don't be intimidated, baby. It's fine. No, you're beautiful. Just
Oh, so that's what you're into.
Because there's no other picture in his apartment except for those two ladies, and he's just sitting there on the bed, and they're just
massive.
They're just huge pictures.
This is my daughter's OnlyFans account. I'm really proud of her.
All right, we're going to go into back it up moments, and I'm going to start. My back it up moment is, again, Jack Torrance locked in the dry goods.
Yeah.
I just liked it. He's really losing his mind. He's just been knocked the fuck out, and he got pulled in there, and she locked him in and says, I'm going to go get a doctor. We'll come back and help you. And that's when he says, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Go check the snowcat. It really escalates at that point. And I just think it's a great scene. TJ?
I love the stairway scene where the first confrontation between husband and wife happens, and she has the bat. She's walking backwards up the stairs. That was a great, that finally built the mood of like, oh, you're all going to die.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Give me the bat.
Jack's acting was fantastic. She was okay in that scene as well.
127 takes later.
Yeah.
Tore a rotator cuff or something like that.
Yeah, she got injured in it. Her hands were bleeding and blistered.
From gripping the bat?
Yeah, and doing it that many times.
Oh.
It was
Give me the bat.
horrible.
Give me the bat.
Yeah.
Stop swinging the bat. Give me the bat.
I just love the dialogue was great. Yeah, that was a great scene.
I have to say, stood the test of time. Did we say that Jack Nicholson is absolutely amazing in this film? Like, did we mention his acting at all, other than like his quotes and stuff like that? Like, for what Kubrick wanted, he nailed that character.
Yeah.
You beg to differ, it looks like.
Yeah.
Bring it up now in your research. Go ahead, or whatever.
It's not
Just
my
do it
research.
now.
I was going to save this for the extra category, and actually, I was in my research as well. It was too much. It was too fast. He fell off a cliff too fast, and
He was already off the cliff, though.
yeah, and maybe again this has been sort of damaged by Christian Slater. Christian Slater's been like, he's done the I'm Jack Nicholson, and like I just kept seeing that, like he became a parody of himself in this, where
This is his one of his first movies.
I know, but that's the problem. It's like in 1980, great, and when I was a kid, great, but now 2023, 2024 lens, I was done with the whole like you could make a drinking game out of this. Like every time he arches his eyebrows, take a shot, and you would be messed up by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like he is good. He does.
I disagree. I think he was amazing. I think he
I'm
nails.
on Team Chad.
I think he nails every line. He's creepy as shit. He attacks his son, and every time Danny is alone with him, I'm worried.
Yeah.
Okay. The scene in the apartment when Danny goes to check on him, and he's like, "That is uncomfortable." Yes, that is good, but that's a
But
subtle.
he raises his eyebrows in that scene.
But it's subtle. He doesn't chew the scene. I don't know. It's where when we get to our watch rewatchability scale, this is where I was going to bring it up because that's what keeps me from placing it higher.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we agree to disagree then. I think he was awesome.
to disagree.
I think a lot of his acting is his face, though. But that is acting as well.
But I put that in there too. I said his facial expressions are amazing.
Yeah.
For that time, we've seen him in multiple movies. And yeah, he's just got that expressive face.
Yeah.
But I think like when you look at Cuckoo's Nest, which was before this,
I fucking hated that movie.
but he's amazing. Okay. But he's amazing in it. But it's a more subtle Jack Nicholson. Like when he goes
Fair, yeah.
after Billy's killed himself and then he goes after Ratched and he's like just pure rage and he's strangling her. Like he does so much in that scene with his face and his anger and the insanity. Whereas this one, it relied so much on like camera facing down at him, looking up, eyes are sort of rolled up and he's got his like arched eyebrows. And I think that's why the storeroom where the camera's underneath him does impact me so much as it did you, is because it's not that shot. It's not that shot of like eyes rolled up and arched eyebrows. It's actually him acting. I don't know.
But was he directed that way or were those his choices?
Well, that's just saying like Kubrick, he might have done a much more subtle take of the first part. And then Kubrick's like, punch it up, punch it up, punch it up. And it's like by the 40th take, Jack was like, and that's where we get in the movie.
And this, before we recorded, we were saying that this would have been maybe his best era to play the Joker because all you see in him in this movie is the Joker.
Well, and that's what I saw as well. So maybe that also tainted it a bit as well. Yeah.
Even
there was no Party Man. Where was the Prince soundtrack in this movie?
even his smile, like you didn't even really need makeup for the Joker. His smile.
Yeah.
Is that face.
Especially when he's with Danny and he's smiling at his kid, like he pulls him up onto his lap and he's giving the weird, creepy smile. You're like, oh.
And that's supposed to be like a scene where he's supposed to show how much he, cares about his son. He's like, hey, come on in here. Like he hasn't really interacted with his son this whole movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always Wendy with
Danny, and then he says, Dad, you wouldn't hurt us, would you? And he immediately goes to did your mother say that?
Yeah, he doesn't deny it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like
Why did your mother say that? And then he gets mad about that. And then that's when I thought, oh no, this kid's in trouble. Yeah. He's going to do something. And then it kind of goes off. And then he wakes up as he's typing the thing.
Yeah.
That part, I'll agree. When he wakes up from the dream where he says, I murdered you.
I dreamt that I
killed you and I chopped you up into little bits. And Shelley Duvall is like unflinchingly supportive.
Yeah.
She just, it's okay. It was just a dream. It's like, if I said that to Kathy, I would get divorced.
What were you dreaming
Not
last
just
night?
that.
Oh, nothing. I just killed you and chopped you into little pieces.
Chopped you up into little bits. And
he gets into detail.
Yeah. And he's ripped up about it. Like he is crying about it, but still it's just super messed up. However, when he's, it's a little much.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the movie, I enjoyed his performance. Mike, you have any other back it up moments?
I really liked early in the film where we know that Jack has got the job and then it dissolves back to Wendy and Danny. And Danny's in the bathroom, I guess, like maybe brushing his teeth or something. But the shot is down the hallway and you don't see Danny actually his face. You just see him standing on a stool looking in the mirror. And then eventually it cuts into the bathroom. But it's Tony and Danny talking about like, it's the first time there's the conversation between Danny and Tony, not someone else. Like there's the scene where he's eating his sandwich and he's like, I don't know, Mrs. Torrance. It's like, okay, that's kind of fun, playful, imaginary friend. But when he talks to Tony on its own, it like, again, this is where I need my thesaurus. So here we go.
But Tony,
it was troubling and unpleasant.
But Tony has a different voice when he talks to Danny.
Yeah.
It's like the grudge, kind of low guttural, kind of, I don't want to go there. It's like, why? I don't want to tell you.
Yeah.
And why won't he tell him? Why won't he tell him? Sorry.
Especially if it's him.
Now I'm hitting. Yeah, if it's him from the future.
That's what I did. Yeah, okay, that's where this falls through.
Why won't he tell him?
Yeah, this is where you can't retcon it, right? Like, Stephen King wrote a sequel 20 years later to mess with this.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was chilling. It was it was alarming, creepy.
Now we're just going to use all the words, other than unsettling.
I
have the same problem. I say laughably bad in our stuff a lot. I remember we did one podcast and I was like, it was laughably bad. And I was like,
humorously deplorable.
100 times I'm sure I said that. Okay. Any other back it up moments? Mike has a couple others.
One more. Yeah. It's when Jack walks into 237.
Before the hot one or before the hot girl or
Before we even get there, where he's been at the bar and Wendy's like, there's someone in the hotel. You need to go see. It's in this room. And so when he goes into 237, I don't know if it's the way the camera tracks, like he walks into camera and you have that steady cam. And again, even though I've seen this movie multiple times, he's walking into camera and we don't know what's coming quite yet. Even rewatching it, knowing what's going to be coming up in the bathroom with the woman coming out of the bathtub, there's still this, like, the music isn't overly oppressive yet. The score isn't telling us quite what's going to be there. All we know is that Danny went in and something happened. And so it still was ominous for me.
You're cheating.
Oh man, guy's got his laptop set up, looking up all the words.
I'm sorry, but it was unsettling and I'm tired of using the word.
You know what I did like, and this I should have put in my one-liners, is when she does come up and say, someone's in 237 and her Danny, and he just kind of snaps out of his like conversation with Lloyd there and looks at her and says, you fucking lost your mind. And then he goes up there and checks it out. But yeah, it's pretty funny. All right, now we're going to go to our hiding in the shadows. We go into the first, so he gets the job and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, a month later.
Right.
And then after that, we break down into days. So it's like Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. I don't know why they break it down like that. Is there something to the book to that? Like, why does it take a month for him to kind of get, because they're still kind of happy to get, well, happy as they can be, I guess, as that family is. They're still kind of okay together. And then all of a sudden, it just takes a turn.
Well, in the book, it's a much slower fall into insanity.
Yeah.
Like you really get all the inner dialogue, which there's none of obviously in the movie, but you really see his slow decay throughout. But like in the movie, he's like, try and take the snowcat out. And then she just goes there and he has already cut it out. But in the book, it's that slow decay of him like, okay, I got to destroy this stuff. I got to make sure that they can't escape. I got to make sure that I could keep maintaining the boiler because the boiler is a big part of the story in the book as well.
Right. And they barely touch on that in this film. Like he does mention it.
Yeah.
In the interview, you got to watch the boiler. But I do remember watching the miniseries, and he was constantly down there checking on the boiler.
It was every few days or so, right? That they had to bleed it out or something like that.
In the TV series, it's every day you need to bleed it out. In the book, I think it's every few.
Yeah.
And in the movie, it's not really mentioned that much, but we see Wendy down in the basement doing
Wendy
his work.
does it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But is that where the demon is in the boiler room?
Well, so he finds the history book of the hotel down in the boiler room, I believe.
Right.
And that's where he starts like really getting eaten up by the hotel. It's like as he's learning more about the hotel, it kind of slowly takes him over throughout it.
Right.
Which is basically what they skipped over. And then also like the boiler causes the hotel to blow up in the end of the book. So the hotel's destroyed, but they weren't going to destroy the hotel. So maybe they had to like...
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Stephen King said when he said he didn't like it. He said, the book is warm, the movie is cold.
Yeah.
In the book and the miniseries, the hotel is lit on fire. In this one, it freezes.
Yeah.
Which...
it might have just opened up for the next season, right? Like...
Yeah.
I just thought it was weird how we go, and we jump days too. It's not like Monday, Tuesday. We don't go through the full week. It's boom a month, then Monday, then Wednesday. And we're just progressing the story. I guess, they just wanted to try to show that it is taking time for him to go mad.
Yeah.
But is it like, we don't see a Christmas celebration. So if it's a month in and then it's like, it goes by days.
Right.
Do we assume that this attack and Jack Nicholson going nuts, like is late November at the latest? Like I tried to Google this because I was saying like, how long were they there? Is this like months later? Like we talk about cabin fever and the impact of being isolated. They're there for 6 weeks tops, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're supposed to be there for 5-6 months.
Yeah. They made it a third of the way through at best.
Right. And is that not the worst job ever? Like,
well, who wants to be alone in a hotel with their young kid and isolated?
And they
speaking from somebody with a 1-year-old, that sounds like the
no
worst.
Wi-Fi, no internet.
But you can't do anything. You can't get out of town. Like nothing can come in or out. You're just there.
There's part of me that's like, if I had like 14 terabytes of TV shows and movies, my PS5.
Well, they had TV. He was watching TV.
They were watching
The
TV.
TV wasn't plugged in the lobby. I don't understand how those TVs work because it was the one on the legs in the main lobby. There was no cords going to it at all. How does that work?
It was the demon
Did they have
shows.
car battery?
It was the hotel shows.
The hotel was showing them like a summer movie. Just like, this isn't what you're seeing.
That was my big issue, is that it wouldn't have taken much time in the film to show his fall into insanity.
Yeah.
Like, even if you showed like a 10-second little, like he sees the first demon or whatever, and then he hears something, but it was just like, he's bad from the start.
Yeah.
And
Page
then he's
1 is
still bad.
all work and no play.
Yeah.
Right. There's no like, it's a dark and stormy night. Like he has no bad chapter 1. He's just straight into bad.
Yeah, it doesn't get worse. Like you'd think he was starting. I think he's just a shitty writer, and he just
Stephen King.
But they had such a well-written book. He just took all the best parts out of his movie.
I think Chad meant like Jack Nicholson's
Torrance is just a bad writer. He had no idea what to write about, and then he just sat there and he's just like, I have no ideas. I have nothing. So when she comes in, he's like, you got to get the fuck out of here, and he gets all mad at her, and he's got nothing. The guy's shit.
He rips up that page too. Like he was typing, but he could have been typing the
all work no play.
Yeah.
But we don't know that.
We don't until, it must have been because
that was the page. That was the page. That was
his only writing.
Pulitzer Prize winning page.
That was the one that was going to send him. Yeah. Anyways, anybody else have anything?
I guess, well, I'll bring this up now, actually. It was going to be maybe for research, but I'll bring it up now. I think part of also my trouble with watching this one again now is between the last time I watched it and this watch, my friend introduced me to a artist on YouTube who samples movies and makes music out of them. And their name is Pogo, and they have a mix called Red Rum, and it's made entirely from the sounds of this movie. And I'll put a link to it on the website. So TJ, for the first time, you should go to the website and watch this.
What is a website?
TJ doesn't know we have one or respect us enough to go to it.
I love the show.
Oh, jeez.
No, I've listened to every episode that I'm on.
As do I.
As do I. I'm actually re-listening. But it delayed or interrupted my enjoyment of the film because the song does a good job of quoting like, play with us, Danny, and then all the dry goods. And so when those moments came up during the watch, I was like, yeah, there it is. There it is. So I didn't know if that was like a hidden in the shadows or not, but please go to the website, check out the link to Red Rum by Pogo. It's a great mix and it does a great job with the movie.
Interesting. Well, I have one, and I'm not sure if this goes into bonus features or hiding in the shadows, but I wanted to talk about it. And as I was doing research for this film, I found a website or a YouTube channel, I guess, and the guy was talking about there are no ghosts in this. It's all Jack's delusion. So when they talk about The Shining, the theory is he's just delusional because, number one, he says, hey, would you like some? They do that scene where they're talking in their minds. He's like, would you like some ice cream? And he says, the guy on the says, well, what kid doesn't want fucking ice cream? He's like, that's not a hard leap to make. So he says, but he doesn't know what flavor he likes. He doesn't know that he doesn't like lamb. He doesn't know who Tony is. He doesn't know how they communicate.
So he wanted Halloran to be like, do you want some chocolate and mint ice cream?
Yeah.
Doc?
So he's like, if he was actually the Shining and knew and could go into people's minds, he says this guy should have been able to read what was going on. Also, he doesn't know what's going on in the hotel. The only reason why he knows what's going on in the hotel is because he watches the newscast and he's like, oh,
there's a storm.
There's a huge storm and that family's up there. I should, maybe check and see. So then he calls up there. They're like, oh, we can't get the telephone, but the radio's working, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And he doesn't foresee his own death in that. He walks in there and he gets hit. Why doesn't he see that?
You're making an excellent case for why you should only read the book and not watch the movie. Because in the book, their conversation is much longer.
Yeah.
In that the food storage room scene.
Okay.
And they can communicate.
They actually communicate to each other.
They're talking back and forth through their minds
okay.
while they're doing that.
See,
so they just hacked that up.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, the miniseries does a good job as well with Danny and his shine, where Danny doesn't know he shines and Halloran is pulling it out of him, but Halloran has to train him. So they go out to the car to put some stuff in the car, and then the family goes off to see the kitchen, so Danny's not there.
Yeah.
But Halloran's like, I need you to, like, shout at me with your mind as much as you can. And Danny does, and like knocks Halloran
Right,
back,
yeah,
breaks
that's
the
right,
car.
yeah.
So even the miniseries does a good job of like, Danny doesn't know he has this trait or this skill.
But then is Kubrick staying true to that storyline, or is he making his own one up
He's made his own entirely.
He makes his own.
where Jack Torrance is just, it's all in his mind and he's falling apart?
Well, the premise of the whole book is that Danny is so powerful, the hotel wants to devour him so that they can have that power.
Right.
And they just ignore that entirely. Like, they're more concerned with Jack in the movie.
Yeah,
versus
he's the
Danny.
focus
He's the
of the
focus.
whole film.
Whereas Danny is the focus of the book.
Yeah, and this is my problem with the movie is like it's mostly focusing on Jack and his very swift decline, but then Grady opens the storeroom, so there is some supernatural element
Right.
that Kubrick goes into.
But see, in this guy's interpretation where he says there are no ghosts, it's because he's an abusive father and he says, just give me one more chance. I can do this. Just give me one more chance. It's actually Danny that opens the door to let his father out so that he can give him that one more chance.
That'd be great if we saw Danny anywhere near the kitchen.
Right.
Yeah, like he's down there later when he's hiding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he runs in there and he hides. Yeah. The other one is when he goes into the scene or to get his fire truck and he talks to his dad. And I said, you know, it's creepy and unsettling. When he says, you wouldn't hurt us, he grabs his shoulder and kind of tightens up on that one shoulder. And in the next scene, when Jack kind of wakes up, he's not doing the wake up. He's just sitting in that chair, just kind of dazed and confused. Danny comes down and says, and is hurt. He's bruised on his neck and his shoulder, which is the same side that Jack
Gripped too hard, possibly.
So, and immediately she runs up and says, you bastard, you did this to him. And then she takes him away. But then Danny, to save his father and his parents from arguments and stuff like that, makes up this story about how he went into 237 and got hurt. And so then he goes and she comes down and says, you know, there was someone in that
There's someone
room.
else in the hotel with us.
And he goes in there and sees what he wants. Like he says, my life would be better if I was with this person. But then it transforms. The hag is Wendy. That's what his life is that annoying woman that's just like always nagging him. Lloyd is just him talking to himself, convincing he wants a drink. Grady, he gets the name wrong in the bathroom. He doesn't call him Charles Grady. He calls him a different Grady. He calls him another name.
Oh.
And so if you look it up, I don't know what name he calls him. I can't remember. It's on my transcript that I put it up, but he calls him a different name. And in every interaction with a ghost, there's a reflective surface. So he is talking to himself and convincing himself of all this stuff. And so it's just him already has evil within him. And when he gets to the hotel and he gets to this isolation, it triggers him to go farther down that rabbit hole. And then he starts to make up all this stuff to justify killing his family.
That would make sense until he's been there forever in the movie. Like they're saying that he's been there since
1921 at least.
Yeah. So if he's been there forever, then who is the family that he's bringing with him?
So let me just see if I can find that.
Delbert Grady.
Yeah, he calls him Delbert Grady.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Mr. Ullman tells Jack the story of a previous caretaker, Charles Grady. Interesting to note that this man identifies himself as Delbert Grady. Although he denies being a modern caretaker, he does refer to the same murderous actions. No, but you're right. Like Charles Grady is the one in the interview. Delbert Grady is the one in the bathroom.
They're both Gradys?
Yeah.
Lloyd is the bartender because Grady, when he goes into the bathroom, denies it, right? He's like, no, that wasn't me. I was not the caretaker, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then he does say, like, I had to correct my wife and family.
Yeah, he immediately flips his script and tells him everything. Well, not everything, but he alludes to it. Well, and then the book, it's not Grady who gets him the job. It's his buddy.
Well, it's not Grady that gets him the job either.
But he, like the interview, I mean, like the original interview, is that, what's the owner of the hotel room's last name?
Ullman.
Ullman, okay.
Ullman gets him the interview, but only because it's recommended. And in the miniseries, it's by the board. In the movie, I can't remember. In the book, it's a friend.
It's a friend who says, hey, this guy would be good for the job.
Yeah, despite all the reasons not to hire him.
Right. But in the movie, they just kind of fly over all that.
What's interesting, in the movie, Ullman is on board with Jack. He's like, yeah, I think you're great. Then we're going to go for you. Whereas in the miniseries and the novel, Ullman's like, I do not want to hire you. I have concerns about the fact that you are an alcoholic and you abused your child. And in the miniseries, and I can't remember if this is in the novel, but in the miniseries, it talks about how Jack Torrance beat the crap out of a student who slashed his tires.
Yeah.
Because when he was a professor or a teacher, he failed the student. The student slashed his tires and he beat the crap out of that guy. We later find out about the abuse of Danny. And Ullman in the miniseries is like, I don't want to hire you, but the board is telling me I have to. In the novel, it's the same thing. It's like, I don't want to hire you, but
there's nobody else for the job.
There's no one else for the job. And this other person's recommending you. I think that's a much better take. Like the Ullman in the movie is like, yeah, you're great. We'll take you. I like you.
Yeah.
And again, it goes to Nicholson's acting. Like in the novel, it talks about how when he's in the interview, he's got his like basically car salesman smile. Like he is faking his way through it, like convincing, like he's over saccharin, over selling himself to get this job. And it keeps talking about his smile to convince Ullman. And I think that acting of Jack Nicholson in that moment would have been more palatable had it been more disagreeable.
I agree. I don't think if you were following the book, if you're hiring that actor, Jack Nicholson doesn't fit that bill because he always looks crazy.
Yeah, instantly.
Yeah, he's not a lovable dad in any part of the movie at all.
No, he's hateful from the get-go.
Yeah. But like in the book, he redeems himself at the very end, and you celebrate that. It's like a Breaking Bad type of anti-hero, whatever you want to call it.
But even at the beginning of the novel and through it, there are multiple moments where Jack is a father, but struggling.
Well, like the scene where he has Danny on his lap, where you feel like he's going to hurt him. Like in the book, you're like, oh, he is a supportive father who's struggling with alcoholism, but he's been sober for a year plus, I think.
And that's another thing that they made mention of is because when they talk about him being sober, he goes and says when he has his first drink in the hotel, or what he thinks is a drink in the hotel, he says, here's to 5 months or whatever.
Yeah.
But when he freaks out about his son and when he hurt his son, he says, it was fucking 3 years ago.
Yeah. So
there's something there.
Because Wendy says after that, he never had a drink.
Yeah.
But we know there's a discrepancy there within the film, which is weird because like I guess that goes to like Jack has been hiding something from Wendy. Like he's slipped a couple times since the dislocation.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I don't see Kubrick making a mistake in that.
No. Well, and it's very clear that the father-son relationship is not good in the movie.
Yeah.
No. So one of the things that they go into is that this version of Jack blames Wendy and his son for his horrible life.
Right.
For what?
Understandably. A kid and wife, worst ever.
He thinks
Just kidding.
He thinks his life should be way better and will be better when they're dead. So that's how he justifies what he's going to do.
Yeah.
As far as the end goes, he goes into a lot of detail about, his relationship with his wife and kid. But at the end, here, I found it here. He also talks about Kubrick throwing out red herrings for audiences to like get distracted on certain things. And he says that picture is one of the things that he does. So what they saw in the way incompatible with overall framework of the story. What do ghosts have to do with the reincarnation 60 years later? It only makes sense if you assume that Kubrick is the unreliable director showing you things that didn't happen, cutting between things that don't go together, even manipulating sets and spaces in ways that don't make sense. He even gives us one final clue. If you watch the credits to the end, you can hear an audience clap, get up, and walk out. What does that mean? We're watching a movie of other people watching a movie.
Oh.
So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I watched this just this morning because I was doing my research and what's this? And I want there to be ghosts in this film. And
there has to be.
And the way he goes through it, like, oh, what an interesting take. So it's just cool to hear this guy's take on why maybe there aren't ghosts. Maybe it's just Jack falling into madness and really going, quite crazy, inventing these scenarios. When he comes into the ballroom the second time and it's filled with all those people in the 1920s, he's got money. Everybody's like, oh, your money's no good here.
Well, I wonder about that because the first time he's like, I'm a little shy because I have two 20s and two 10s, pulls out the wallet, he has nothing. But the next time he sits down,
he has
the money's in the wallet.
Yeah. And then he's partying with all these people. He's hobnobbing and everybody. He thinks that's how his life would be.
Yeah.
It's like just him, hey, I got all this cash.
What's that Leonardo DiCaprio movie, which is basically the exact same plot where he's stuck on
Shutter Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's seeing things that don't exist, and then at the end, you don't really know.
You find out that his wife killed his kids,
So
and
he's
then
a
he
prisoner
killed
there.
his wife.
Yeah.
And he's a prisoner there. He's not
Yeah.
the detective, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of, following that same. So anyways, it's an interesting take. I didn't know where to put it, so I'm putting it in the shadows thing. I thought it was kind of an interesting thing to hear. So
Yeah.
check it out. We'll give you the link at the end, and
It'll be on the website.
cool.
Yep.
All right, so now we're going to go into bonus features, and I'm going to start, I guess. For the All Work and No Play Makes Jack a Dull Boy, they wrote 500 pages. They had someone write 500 pages of that, and in multiple languages, 5 different languages for the international movie. So someone sat, they think it was the director's assistant, which, my God, that would have been the whole time. But yeah, they wrote 500 pages of All Work and No Play Makes Jack a Dull Boy with all the different
Settings and mistakes and
yes.
typing errors.
Yeah.
Do you have the translations? Because I found them.
No, I don't have them. Go ahead.
I have 3 of them. And it's interesting because like it speaks to cultural stereotypes or cultural perceptions. So the German translation is don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today, which is sort of antithetical to All Work and No Play Makes Jack a Dull Boy. But it also speaks to the industrial nature of Germans and the we can do it. The Spanish translation is although one will rise early, it won't dawn sooner. I like that one, right? No matter how early you get up, the sunrise isn't going to change. But again, still doesn't quite play with that whole ennui or ad nauseum existence of like monotony that they're existing in. And the Italian is he who wakes up early meets a golden day. And I got to tell you, that one doesn't fit at all.
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
I don't see that happening. Yeah.
So those were the 3 translations of that line that I found that I was like very different tones than the All Work and No Play Makes Jack a Dull Boy. Because that line really sort of clarifies what Jack Nicholson's going through in the sort of drive to insanity that they're experiencing.
Yeah, for sure. So you jumped in there, but do you have another one there, Mike?
The next one I have is just, this goes back to my opinion on Jack Nicholson, and I think Malton hit the nail on the head. In his review of the film, Leonard Malton said, Nicholson goes off the wall so quickly, there's no time to get involved in his plight. I don't think that's a fault of Nicholson's acting, but it's a fault of the film itself.
Right.
We don't see any decline. We just see him like, I'll accept the job. A month later, they're in the hotel, and then 3 days later, he is off his rocker insane. And so maybe that's my problem with Nicholson is that, yes, he's crazy right off the bat. And I'll throw in another research, like Stephen King didn't like it either because Nicholson is like off of Cuckoo's Nest and that, like he carries with him this insanity, right? Him as an actor, like typecast, whatever you want to call it. So right out the gate calls out to his audience, something's wrong with this person.
Right.
Yeah. And it's too quick of a decline.
Right. TJ?
Well, I mean, we talked about the difference between the book and the movie quite a bit, but like for me, the worst part of the movie is that they remove the scariest part of the book, which is the hedge monsters. In the movie, it's just a maze.
Right.
But in the book, the hedge monsters are chasing them throughout, and your imagination runs wild. I understand that at the time it's hard to make a hedge monster look realistic.
Right.
But it just removes so much of what in the book was the scary, terrifying parts of the book itself. But the movie to me is more of a slasher, less of a horror movie. You know, there's not that like, I'm so scared moment to me, as opposed to the classic, like a monster's chasing you, you need to get away. Like when you're dreaming and you're trying to run away and you keep falling and falling and falling. I felt a lot of that in the book.
Right.
Whereas in the movie, it was more like, it's a guy. It's not a demon. It's not a monster. It's just a man chasing you down the hallway. And in the book, he doesn't have an axe. He has a croquet mallet, I believe, or something along those lines, which is much less scary.
But also far more upsetting because it's like I'll cut your heart out with a spoon from Robin
It's going to
Hood.
bludgeon him to death as opposed to
Like an axe is a quick, swift thunk and you're done. Whereas a croquet mallet, like you got to put effort and time.
You're about to get beaten to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it wasn't as terrifying as the book was.
Yeah.
But I was also driving through BC in the middle of the night. I listened to the book. I said I read the book, but I listened to it. I don't know if I need to clarify that or not, but it was 4 a.m. and it was dark in the mountains as I was listening to the book.
I do agree with TJ. I saw the movie first and it was upsetting and scary to me as a junior high student or a junior high kid. Reading the book afterwards, and I should have put this into my first impressions, like it was like a completely different experience. And there was part of it's like, wow, this is going so much slower than the movie did. And so at first I'm like, this isn't like the movie at all. But then the psychology of Jack Torrance's decline and the pursuit of the monsters and that, it did unsettle me. The Shining and It are the two Stephen King books I remember I had to walk away from. And so
Really?
Yeah.
Well, in the book, they build up Holland or Colorado, but you grow to love him. Like he's building up Danny throughout the entire book, and then he's there at the end as the father figure once his dad is dead, and that's all taken away from you. But the book is just, you got to read the book. If you haven't read the book, read the book.
Or listen to it.
I call that reading a book. I don't know.
Anyways, I have another one. I'm gonna change gears a little bit. 900 tons of salt and crushed styrofoam were used to make the snow at the end of the film, and I'd say it looked pretty good.
It did. Yeah. There's no, like, it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
And that snowdrift up to the bathroom window is impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we live in Canada, so we know snow. And
That's right.
It really takes you out of a movie when the snow is very fake and wet and clearly has just been placed there and is melting and
Fluffs around, and that's not how snow moves. Yeah.
Just on the hedge maze, I do like this. Kubrick, when they were talking about the hedge maze, it's like, oh, come on, it's not that hard. It's not that creepy. But Kubrick himself, because he made that claim that's like, who's gonna find that scary? He got lost when he went into the maze on his own.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah.
And then the actual chasing it at the end of the movie took over a month to film because the crew kept getting lost.
They had to have two-way radios to talk to each other. They couldn't get in and out of there. Yeah.
Nobody understood. Put your hand on the wall to your right and walk, and you'll get out.
If you want to walk 1,000% farther than you need to.
It'll still get you out, though.
This is true every time.
To enrage Jack Nicholson, Kubrick fed him cheese sandwiches for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I saw this.
To make him frustrated.
He hates cheese sandwiches.
And now he, to this day, hates cheese sandwiches.
But apparently he hated them before as well.
He's
really? Like, that's a food I do not like. And Kubrick's like, all right, you're going to eat them for 2 weeks straight.
Are we talking cold cheese, cold bread, or are we talking grilled cheese sandwiches?
It just said cheese sandwiches.
Because if it's a grilled cheese, who hates a grilled cheese?
I think I could eat a grilled cheese for 2 weeks and be all right.
Yeah.
I could eat it for a year and a half.
And are we mixing up the cheeses?
Yeah. Triple cheese, grilled cheese, Kraft single slices.
Oh, a Kraft single slice on a big cheese. That would piss me off. One slice.
You got to give Mike white bread, though. You can't give him can't get that. Starched up.
I did find, actually, I like this. Just on the whole, like, we're criticizing Kubrick's interpretation of the story and all that. Stephen King actually was tasked with writing a script, and it was submitted. Kubrick did not write it. He read the book, and then he's like, I don't have time for that. I know what I want to do. And then he and Diane Johnson took 11 weeks and came up with this script. So when you talk about the fact that, like, Stephen King did not like this interpretation, it's like, well, yeah, they ignored everything that King wanted to do.
But it was a good movie.
It was a good movie
by itself. If you haven't read the book,
if you're not trying to compare it, great.
Yeah.
But when you go look at some of the Stephen King movies that are out there, oh my God.
Are you saying The Langoliers is a problem?
What about the new It? You
Graveyard
like the new
Shift?
It?
Oh, that's the worst.
The new It? I don't know. It's okay. I actually don't mind it.
Part one.
Good.
Yeah, I
Chapter
don't mind
one
it.
was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like the end of the new It.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't like the end of the old It.
Yeah. It's better than the end of Dreamcatcher. The shit weasel.
Yes. Have you seen Dreamcatcher?
Is that with what's
Donnie Wahlberg and Morgan Freeman?
Oh no, I'm thinking of something else entirely.
It's the guy from Captain Winters from
Who's Ghost
Band of
Rider?
Brothers. Ghost Riders? Nicolas Cage.
And what's the Nick Cage movie where they built Wicker Man? That's what I'm thinking.
Oh,
of.
the
Sorry.
bees.
Yeah, the
that
bees.
one. Yeah. Wicker Man's
10 out of 10.
Yeah. That one's a barn
How did it get
burner.
burned? How did it get burned?
Yeah.
Oh, the set of The Shining burned down.
Yeah.
Near the end of shooting. There's actually a picture of Kubrick standing with the remains of the set, and he's laughing. And they were just like, it's ironic that they didn't end the film how it was supposed to end, but everything still burned down.
That was their shot. That was their chance to end it properly.
Yeah.
You alluded to this, Chad, in the conversation, but the swinging bat scene holds the Guinness World Record for most takes at 127 takes.
Oh.
Yes, it's a lot. Like you talked about Shelley Duvall's bleeding hands. She did tear a rotator cuff or did some damage to herself.
For like 10 seconds of the movie, too. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. It's such a short scene.
And I got to say, like, I went to a batting cage when I was in Taiwan, and it was like 100 NT for 100 pitches. It was like, this is easy peasy, like 100 pitches. There we go. No batting gloves, like just swing, swing. And you're like, this is fun as hell. The pain of waking up the next day was amazing. There's a reason why batters swing 9 times a game. That's the maximum.
With gloves on.
With glove. Oh,
gloves.
Yeah.
Gloves.
Yeah.
Same with golf. Like when I started golfing, I didn't wear a glove. And then you're sitting there playing. How? Like this kind of.
Growing up at the farm, we always wore gloves except for the time you wanted to look tough in front of the old guy that would come out with his fencing. Like you had a pound post and once in a while you wouldn't wear gloves. And then the next day you're like, you're bloody
ripped apart.
raw. You're like, I didn't prove myself and my hands are destroyed.
Yeah.
There's no point to this at all.
The alternate ending that was filmed and then did not do well with test audience, Ullman comes and finds them and then tells Wendy, like, there's no evidence what happened. They looked through the hotel, couldn't find any proof of what they're claiming.
Is he still alive? Is Jack still alive in this?
No, this is after
So
Jack.
he is a ghost in the hotel in this version. Okay,
or at least this is after that. So Ullman's like, why don't you come and live with me? And then
what?
Yeah. So he's like, well, there's no evidence.
That's what happened.
It's like, there's no evidence what happened, but you know what? If you need, you can come live with me. And then there's a title card that's like, it talks about how the Overlook still endures to this day, despite what happened. It still endures and continues. And it didn't film well. It didn't work out. And it kind of got just lost in the ether. And thank God, because that was like the worst way to end this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any others for anybody? I got one more.
I do have one. The hotel made a fake room, 237.
Right. Yeah.
It was 217. They were going to use 217.
Yeah.
And the hotel thought that it would give the hotel a bad name and nobody would want it. And so they made this fake room. However, after the movie, hordes of people came and wanted 237.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, I guess we should have.
Do they not understand how marketing works?
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. They made a fake room and then everybody wanted to stay in it. And then they're like, well, we don't actually have that room.
Well, and the conspiracy theory around 237 is 237 miles away from the moon.
237,000.
237,000 miles away from the moon, which means that Kubrick was in on the moon landing, which means he filmed it.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
It's the Apollo 11 sweater that
He
Danny's
filmed
wearing.
the fake moon landing or whatever. Yeah.
The last one I had was just alternate casting choices. And it's like, this could have been a very different film 3 ways. So considered for Jack Torrance, although Kubrick said that Jack Nicholson was his choice from the beginning, but considered.
But Stephen King didn't want
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Stephen King didn't.
He was against him as Jack Torrance. But Kubrick wanted him. Yeah.
Kubrick wanted him. But there was Robert De Niro. Oh,
I don't see how that would.
He fits the book a lot better.
Yeah, De Niro could have been good with that father figure / like on the edge.
But not in this version of the film.
Not in this version, no.
That was very almost rehearsed.
Robin Williams, which
No way.
No, absolutely not.
I can't see that happening.
you can't take Robin Williams of the Mork and Mindy era and throw him into something like this.
No. But he has done drama before. Like, I mean,
he did 1 hour photo.
great actor.
He did 1 hour photo. Yeah, he's done creepy character. I don't know.
But this is Robin Williams
really
of like the
Flubber. Two very different
Mork
movies.
and Mindy, like
Mrs.
I don't know,
Doubtfire.
Daddy. Oh, Daddy, I don't know. Am I gonna hurt the family? Oh, who knows? Oh, just
It's a great impression.
It wasn't. And then the last one was Harrison Ford.
He'd be good. I would like him.
I think Harrison Ford could have pulled off the father figure.
Yeah.
But again, not in this version.
I don't know. He's crazy. He seems crazy.
You know, he would have downplayed it a little more though.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been as like
Instantly insane.
Yeah. And have you ever seen the movie What Lies Beneath?
Yeah.
Like he's
so good.
nasty in that one.
When in real life, he always seems mad. Like he
does.
seems grumpy and gruff, and like he
Yeah.
could have that edge to him. I think.
I don't know. That one I'm not. The other two, no. This one, that one I'm not sure
Yeah.
about. Maybe.
Could have been interesting.
That's a
I
maybe.
think Willem Dafoe would have been there.
Well, that's another Joker. That guy's facial expressions are just ridiculous. And if he starts laughing, it's I don't know. He would have been another like psycho guy. No,
I like Defoe in this. I think Defoe would be good. Yeah.
Because he has a kind-hearted side to him. Like, you like him, but he also can switch into that crazy facial expressions and crazy anger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You think he would have been even more than Jack Nicholson?
Not out of the gate, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it'd be like Harvey Keitel. Like, Keitel can go crazy, but Keitel can also be reserved.
Yeah.
So,
Fair enough.
yeah.
So now we're going to go into our watchability scale. Out of 10, TJ, what would you rate this film?
I'm going to put my reading the book aside, and I'll say it's an 8.
Nice.
It's a good movie. By itself, it's a great movie. Yeah.
Mike?
I've been going up and down with this, up and down. This is like, I pulled the 10 card out earlier on an episode, and I was like, oh, is The Shining going to be my 10? Because it still creeps me out to this day. But then in our conversation today, I'm like, I'm critical of Jack Nicholson, critical of Shelley Duvall.
Yeah.
He went 7.
I went 8.
He went 8.
Yeah, I was bouncing between 7 and 8. I'm gonna go 8. I'll land at 8 as well.
We got 3 8s. I'm giving it an 8 as well.
Yeah.
Just like us, 3 8s.
I'm a small town 10.
On that note, thank you very much for listening to us. Remember to follow us on Instagram. We are at Screams Stream Pod. Stop by our website, www.screamsandstreams.com, where we have information about our episodes, descriptions of our categories, links to our research, our watchability scale, where we rank all the films we are looking at, and a page where you can recommend movies you want us to discuss. Please rate, comment on, and subscribe to our show on any of the platforms where you get your podcasts. Until next time, this has been Chad and
TJ?
and
Mike.
scare you later.